live? Hold on one sec, y'all. Good evening. Give people some time here to join us.
We're live, Sonya?
Let me make sure.
I didn't see the countdown. That's why I was asking.
Oh, we start the countdown after people start to join us and come on. Good evening, everyone. Come on in. We'll get started here soon. We're going to give some Foxies a little more time to join us for tonight's podcast and conversation discussing love languages. And I see we are active. On SilverFox Sonya and SilverFox Sonya podcast. Good evening, everyone. Make sure our comments are up. Come on in, y'all. Welcome to the SilverFox Sonya podcast. If you could share, we'll get started here shortly. We're trying to give a few more people some time to come in. Hope everyone's doing well. And if you're viewing us this evening, if you could go and view us on SilverFox Sonya podcast so we can see all your comments and bring them up on the screen, that would be wonderful. See some.
Oh.
Okay, y'all. What happened to Shamaria? Let me wait for her to come back in before I do our countdown. We're going to do our countdown here in just a minute, Foxies, and get started. Hope everyone's well. There she is.
Sorry. I was hitting the chat and it just disappeared.
No worries. We're going to get started here, y'all. We're going to do our countdown, and we'll be right back with you. Stay tuned, and don't forget to share. And good evening. Welcome, Foxes and Foxies, to the SilverFox Sonya podcast. You have SilverFox Sonya here, live and in person. How's everyone doing out there? I hope everyone is well, taking care of themselves. I see these COVID numbers are going back up. Mm-hmm. Hopefully you've been vaccinated. If not, please wear your mask. Wash your hands. Think about boosting your immune system with zinc, vitamin C, B, or any vitamins that are out there to help boost your immune system. But today we are back talking dating shenanigans with love languages. So as I stated, I'm SilverFox Sonya. Welcome. If you could go to SilverFox Sonya podcast and watch us this evening, that would be great so we can upload your questions as we're talking this evening. So I'll let my Foxies introduce themselves.
Hey y'all, it's Lauren Melissa. It's been a minute, but I'm glad to be back talking about some really cool things today. So I hope y'all are ready and ready to engage in conversation because it's going to be great. So hey y'all.
Hey, hey, Foxies. I'm Shamarian, aka Sham. Good to join you guys again.
So, yes, our last podcast. One moment before we get started. Let me say we're missing our Foxy tonight. School starts tomorrow, and she wasn't able to make it tonight, and we are going to miss her tremendously. Kendra Black Barbie, she said if she's able to pop in, she'll pop in with us, but not sure she has a lot on her schedule tonight, and I do not want to stress her out. So we're here, and we're talking about dating shenanigans, love languages, acts of service. So in our last podcast, we discussed love languages and gifts, and you heard our worst gifts, our best gifts. We had the party pack. We had the sheets. Um, who was another one that we had? Old jewelry.
I don't know. I can't remember if I even
Yeah,
shared one.
Kendra had the really cute jewelry box.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that she got returned back to her all scratched up.
Thing great,
Dang.
all scratched up. Yeah.
Yeah. So tonight we're gonna discuss. I don't know unless Lauren wants to talk about her worst or best gifts. You good?
I don't
You
I
good,
don't
Foxy?
I haven't received any gifts.
Lauren,
I know.
I
I'm
know.
still waiting. What? You don't believe it. I don't get gifts. Like
Are you serious? Or are you
uh-huh.
joking? You're pulling my
I'm
leg.
I'm not lying. I can't even be like, oh, I got this gift from somebody and it was so thoughtful. Like, no. I just was messing with a lot of brokies, broke boys.
It's always not about the money, it's the thought.
Right. Thoughts
Shamarian would
cost.
so
disagree, but
thoughtless brookies is what she said.
Thoughtless,
Thoughtless, yeah,
thoughtless brokies, money brokies, like all the brokies.
yeah.
Like
okay, well, since you don't have any best or worst gifts to share, tonight we are starting off love languages, discussing acts of service. And to get us started, I kind of dialed back. It's the three of us tonight, even though Kendra was going to be here, was going to be the original Destiny's Child, but we got us three here. So we're taking it from some R&B music this evening. And the song that I have in mind is Destiny's Child, Cater to You. So we're going to read off the lyrics to this song. Can't play the music, but it starts off by saying, "Baby, I see you working hard.
Mm.
Want to let you know that I'm proud. Want to let you know I admire what you do. Don't know if I need to reassure you. My life would be purposeless without you. If I want it, you got it. If I ask, you provide it. You inspire me to be better. You challenge me for the better. Sit back, boo.
Mm.
Let me pour you out my love letter."
so we
Go
stopping
on.
to talk about it or we just
No, no,
going through
no.
the
We're
whole
going
thing?
through the whole song of Cater to You.
Okay. So let me help you. No, I ain't finna sing. Let me help you take off your shoes, untie your shoestrings, and take off your cufflinks. What you want to eat, boo? Let me feed you. Let me run your bath water. Whatever you desire, I'll supply you. Sing you a song, turn the game on. I'll brush your hair and I even put your do rag on. You want a foot rub? You want a foot rub? You want a manicure? Baby, I'm yours. I want to cater to you. Let me cater to you because, baby, this is your day. I'll do anything for my man. Baby, you blow me away. I got your slippers, your dinner, your dessert, and so much more. Anything you want, let me cater to you. Inspire me from the heart. Can't nothing tear us apart. You are all I want in a man, and I put my life in your hands. I got your slippers, your dinner, your dessert, and so much more. Anything you want, let me cater to you.
Baby, I'm happy you're home. Let me hold you in my arms. I just want to take the stress away from you, making sure that I'm doing my part. Boy, is there something you need me to do? If you want, I got it. Just say the word. And whatever I'm not fulfilling, another woman is willing. I'm going to fulfill you, my body and spirit. I promise you. I keep myself up. Remain the same chick you fell in love with. I keep it tight. I keep my figure right. I keep my hair fixed, rocking the hottest outfits. When you come home, baby, tap me on my shoulder. I will roll over. I'm trying to remember the beat, y'all. Okay, so I'm gonna go
Let
in and
me
out of song.
cater
So,
to
baby,
you.
I heard you. I'm here to serve you. This love you need. Give okay, hold on. I can't sing it no more, y'all.
To
Okay,
give it
so
is my
this love you need to give it is my joy. All I want to do is cater to you. Is cater to you. All right. So we have one out, Miss Kendra. So I'm gonna go ahead and just flow into the next part as well. Okay. I want to give my strength, my will to you. That's the least I can do. Let me cater to you through the good, the bad, the ups and the downs. I'll still be here for you. Let me cater to you because you're beautiful. I love the way you are. Fulfill your every desire. Your wish is my command. I wanna cater to my man, your heart. So pure, your love shines through. The darkness will get through. So much of me is you. I wanna cater to my man. Yeah, I know I can't sing, but I love that song. So I was like really trying to keep up like with the beat. So I was like, I know I'm gonna go in and out of reading to singing, but that was actually like one of my favorite songs. So I hope I gave y'all laugh. I know I don't know how to stay on tune, but I love that song.
So, yeah, Foxies, we're talking about acts of services in love languages. So I took the song "Cater to You" because it's totally serving your mate, as well as that's the female version. There's another song that's an R&B song that it was in the late 80s, and when this song came out, the men were livid.
I'm
I
curious
just
because I wasn't old enough to know this song yet.
oh, you know the song,
Oh,
you
okay.
know it.
Okay.
So this is by the artist, one of those great artists and great writers. He wrote for TLC, Boys to Men, Usher, Justin Bieber, um, Tony Braxton. Did I
Baby
say TLC?
it's
got
definitely Babyface. And it's
gotta be Babyface.
Baby Face.
Okay.
So back in '89, he wrote a song that really touches on all five love languages: gifts, words of affirmations, acts of service, physical touch, and quality time. And it was Soon As I Get Home from Work.
Oh,
Y'all remember that?
I remember.
I'll pay your rent. I'll cook your food. Is that how it go? I'll cook your dinner tonight.
Vaguely.
Soon as I get home from work. Y'all remember that one? Lauren, you remember
yeah,
that one?
I
I
remember.
do.
I remember.
Hmm.
So I remember when that song came out, men were just like, pay her rent, buy her clothes. What? So he says he'll give good love. I'll buy your clothes. I'll cook your dinner too. Soon as I get home from work, I'll pay your rent, your faithful lover. Soon as I get home, girl, I'll treat you right and I'll never lie. For that it's worth, I give good love.
Mm.
So, Foxies, in acts of service, I'm gonna open up a few questions when it comes to acts of service. If you can think of time in dating where you've dated someone to where you've served well or they served you well, and then in acts of service in dating, um, when is too soon to show, or serve someone in a relationship? So we'll start first with either you serving or someone serving you in a relationship that you've been in.
Well,
Before you answer, let me ask this. In your top three love languages, is acts of service either one of yours?
It was my first one. When I took the quiz, it came up as my first one, and I'm not surprised.
Lauren, have you taken the
no,
quiz?
I have, and it wasn't. It was words of affirmation was my first one, and quality time. Right? Is that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, quality time is one.
Quality time and dang, I literally just looked at it. I don't. It wasn't top three though.
Okay, it wasn't in your top three.
Mm-mm. No.
But
Should I
acts
go
of
ahead and
service.
answer it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Maybe acts of service was number three. Maybe it was, but I struggle with this one, like with the dating aspect, right? Because some things I feel like you should reserve for your husband, or you shouldn't necessarily show all that you have to offer, because that's when men can sometimes take advantage of you in that regard. Like, oh, she's willing to do this, this, and this, and this. Then why do I even need to wife her? If she's
Mhm.
going to give, if she, if she's going to do all this in this dating space, then what do I need to marry her for? And so, yeah, I can't say that I've actually like shown all that I am capable of when it comes to serving a man. Like, I do reserve some things for that part of my life. But my acts of service looks like support, right? If he had a tough day at work, or something happened on his job, or if you were laid off, or whatever the case may be, like, I'm going to be there and, fill in the gap the best way I know how, whether it's, link you with somebody who can help you get another job, or, just fill in the space for the time being. You know what I mean? So I think my acts of service may look very different than what the lyrics to cater to you are, right? That cater to you, I feel like you gonna
That's
have to
your
be my
man.
husband. We gonna have to have a commitment, because if I'm untying your shoe, boo, and I'm doing all these things for you, like, this is not no dating thing. Because there's a level of respect, and there's a level of commitment that I expect, right? If I'm gonna do that. Now, of course, we were all created to serve and be servants, right? And so
Correct.
it is very selfish for me to be like, oh, you have to show up this way or treat me this way for you to get X, Y, and Z. So whoever's listening, like, don't get me wrong, that it's a conditional type of thing, because it's not. Like, I'm not saying you have to show up a certain way, but I do think there is a fine line of showing acts of service in the dating space versus if you were in a committed relationship. And, y'all have been married before, right? So y'all can maybe speak to if there was a difference when you were dating versus when you were a husband. Was there a separation? Because I feel like there should be, but I think that's why a lot of women end up in relationships for 3 years, 4 years, 15 years, and never get a ring, because you're just giving away everything
Yes.
all up front.
Yes. You want me to answer that, Shamarian, or you want to chime in?
I have a personal experience with that. Okay, so let me start off saying the funny thing is, my ex had this as his ringtone for when I call, this "Cater to You" song, and I never noticed it until one day my sister was at our house, and I don't know it, I don't know how it went off or whatever, but anyway, I don't know if I like butt dialed him or something like that. And then my sister's like, who is that calling your phone? And he was like, he's like, your sister's calling my phone. And she's like, that's your ringtone? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, I never noticed that. I never knew that was my ringtone for him. So funny story that you chose this song, with the podcast or whatever. But I was like, I was humbled, and I was like, oh, that's very sweet. Okay. So to Lauren's situation, I felt that way. I felt the same way that you felt. And I went through this phase to where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just step back. I'm not gonna give like the next person I date, like I'm not gonna give that person my all. First of all, I don't jump in relationships. We can date, we can chill, we can hang out. But when I get to the point to where I can literally count on one hand how many relationships I've been in, because I have rules for getting into relationships. Like if I feel like we're not gonna be compatible, there's no point in us getting into a relationship. Like we can just be friends and hang out, But I was discouraged at one point, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to, just fall back and just do the minimum and just not give my all. But then I was convicted because I was like, well, why should I have to hold my true self back? You know what I'm saying? Like, acts of service for me is something I do on a daily basis. It come with my job, and I wasn't surprised when I took the quiz and it came back as my number one love language, because I do that every day. And then something I noticed as well that was revealed to me in my, somebody complimented me on it. One of my patients did. So I work with like pregnant patients, right? And so we have these recliner chairs to where they come in to get their ultrasounds done. And, and so one of the things that I've started doing that I noticed, because I'm just paying attention, I'm just like, let me help you, do you want me to put your feet up, and so that's something like one of the things I noticed, like on my daily tasks, I've been kind of paying attention because, when you get further along in your pregnancy, like your feet get swollen, you notice the patient slowing down. So I'm just like, let me put your feet up. Let me put your feet up. But my thing is, I don't want to hold back my whole true, given self, because I feel like you're going to take advantage of it. So I went through that phase. It's like, should I just not be as nice as I normally am? Because I know, it may be taken advantage of. And the same thing, like, well, I'm getting it for free. So, why should I wife if I'm get all this within dating? But that's exactly why I don't jump into relationships. Like, if I feel like we're not compatible on that level, or I feel like you're going to take advantage of me, or I feel like I'm going to be too given to you, then we don't need to be in a relationship, because it's going to be one-sided. So, and that's one of the very reasons I don't jump into a relationships, because it's like whoever I jump into a relationship with, whatever I'm given and how I'm serving you, I want that reciprocated, So if I don't feel like that's going to happen, then we don't have to be in a relationship. Like, we can just be friends. Like, we can just hang out. But at the same time, like, I don't want to not be the funny, humble, loving, serving person that I am, because I feel like you're going to take advantage of it. So it's for me, it's like a fine line. I'm just like, oh, we can just be friends.
So I definitely see that angle. And I think there's a way for them to see your heart without you having to do, right? I think your character can speak a lot. Like, people know when you come into contact with somebody and you just be like, man, you are just a really great person. And you probably hadn't done a thing for them. Like, people can sense when you are a very pure and genuine person and you have more to give. And so I would prefer, like, if I'm in a situation, I want you to see me before you see my actions, or you see the acts, right? The things that I can do. And like, if you can see my heart, you can see the character. Then of course, if all of those things are good and pure, the things that I produce, the things that I can do are going to be good and pure as well. Right. And so, I don't necessarily approach any situation where I'm like, dang, this person gonna use me, or they gonna do this and take advantage. If you enter into any type of relationship or, interaction with that kind of mindset, you're already going into it negatively. So I go into it, right?
Yeah.
But there is a level of guard that you have to like have, just as like a, to protect your heart. You hear that saying, like, guard your heart. What is it, 3 stacks or whatever the song is? Like, you just got to guard your heart, because everyone's not pure.
No.
Everyone does not have your good intentions at heart. So you are the protector of your heart. So that's where like my thing is, because with is it like words of affirmation and stuff, like I can give words of affirmation and hope that they pick up on it and be like, oh, she likes, give compliments, let me give compliments too.
Right.
They're not gonna do that. Yeah, that doesn't always happen. So yeah, it's just the thought process for me too.
So I can say, Lauren, you had asked, we could speak more to it because we have been married. Acts of service is one of my love languages that I give in
every relationship.
all my relationships.
Yeah.
All of them. And you probably know that because I nurture you. I nurture anybody that's in my presence. And I can say in these past 2 years in this pandemic, I've been recreating myself and learning how to move differently. Um, and I don't know if I don't know if it was because I was married for so long that I serve the way I serve, or maybe I've always been like this.
You've
Because my
always
mom,
been like that.
because my mom calls me a mama. My parents say I think I'm their parent, so I'm just a nurturer.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard because I can say even in my dating, and it's probably why I've pulled back more so now, is because I give. I don't know how to not help somebody when they have a need or I see a need. I just see it and I go. And I guess I can say, like I say, in this dating, I've stepped back from dating. I'm praying that whoever the next one is, he is the one, because I give so much. So it's hard. It's hard not to when you see a need for people. For me, it is. For me. So I'm working on that though. I'm working on that. So the Lord can change me.
And I think too, I think you spoke to something that I think is really like key. Like, women typically are nurturers, but then when you add on acts of service and some other different qualities, you are like a nurturer times 100 or 1,000. And it's easy, to your point, for you to feel like depleted sometimes, if you, especially during the dating sphere, which is why I was just like, because dating is so in and out, you're trying to find a one, we can sometimes lose sight of ourselves. Like, I know,
Yes.
there's been times where, like, I always joke, like, dating is ghetto, but like, dating takes work. That's a full-time job, right? And especially if you are like, if anything like me, my clock is ticking, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I gotta find somebody. So if I'm on the phone with this guy and I'm like, yeah, it's not working out, okay, on to the next. And so when you continue to like try to see if you're like there's a connection between people, it could tire you out. And then if no one is like filling you back up in terms of like what you're pouring out, you can walk away from the dating scene or just any type of situation feeling like, yo, like, really hard on yourself. And again, like, as women, we're nurturers. It's just what we're going to do. But who's like filling our cup back up, like, that's just something I think about. So especially when it comes to dating, you can ask me 101 questions, but that doesn't give you a one-way ticket to knowing who I am. Like, my character, you actually have to just spend time, get to know me, things like that, for you to truly see. Because you can ask, man, I get the question game is just all these hypothetical questions. So what if this? So tell me about this. And I'd be like, oh my God, like, let's just have a conversation. And then like you use your critical thinking skills to try to figure out what kind of person I am. Like, it's just really interesting. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It really is hard.
So, Lauren, your answer to is there a time when you start to show acts of service? Your timing is marriage, is when you would actually show
The
that type
act,
of.
the actual acts itself, yes. Like when I'm like feeling like, okay, this is definitely about to be like a forever thing. Like I don't necessarily have to walk down the aisle, but if we've talked about marriage, we've like talked about the future and set some stuff in stone. Like I don't mind, because in my mind it's like the proposal and the engagement is like coming, the marriage is on the way. But if we're just talking, like, no, you can ask me a ton of hypothetical questions about like what would you do if, and what da, 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 da. Like I'll answer those. But again, in terms of the lyrics in the song, like this whole like, what did she say? Let me see.
They was
The
strong.
let me take off your shoes, untie your
That
shoestrings,
was
take
strong.
your cufflinks off, run your bathwater. Like, you know, mm, I would probably run bathwater, right? Because if you
What
get
about
home,
cooking?
cooking, I mean, that's fine. I mean, I always talk about cooking because I'd be like, so do you know how to cook? Because I always have to make sure he can cook. Because if he can't cook, then we in trouble. Because I can't. I'm not saying I don't know how to cook, but it's gonna be a team effort when I'm on the grill or I'm on the stove. You know what I'm saying? But I'll cook for him, no problem. But that ain't finna be no everyday thing. It's
Gotcha.
until we're married, right? Like not every time you come over, what's for dinner? What you cooking? No, dude, what's the effort? What you bringing? What you cooking?
He's bringing groceries over to your house and y'all cook together.
Correct. See, I'll do that.
Okay, so you'll do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we're starting to get comments here. Dating is what you put into it, and that will determine the outcome.
Yeah. That's ideal.
50% of it. Yeah.
Right. That's the ideal way. But when you think about it, people look at dating differently, right? Some people think of dating as dating multiple people at the same time. Some people date just one person at a time. And so when you are approaching dating, right, it's again, it goes back to like, what is your definition of dating? Because if you're one of those people who's like, I'm dating, I go on different dates every other day. How can you possibly give your all to somebody
I say
when
give
you are spreading yourself, not
yourself so
necessarily
thin.
having sex, but like just spreading yourself, your time, your like, how are you doing that?
Yeah.
So it is what you put into it, but I have a hard time believing that you're actually putting your all into something that you are only giving a slither of your time to.
I completely agree with Lauren on that part. And that's why I can't multi-date. I'm sorry. It's just like between my work schedule and just even trying to get a good night's sleep. Like I don't see how you can give one person your undivided attention when you're spreading yourself so thin. Because let's be real, like we're not 18, 21, 24 years old. So you can't be in them streets like that, like dating multiple people. It's just like you know you're gonna get tired. Like you have responsibilities, you have to go to work, you have to do this, you have to do that. Like, and I think we're all to the point to where we realize we need our me time. So how do you give your whole self and your undivided attention to one person if you're spreading yourself between 2 to 4 people? I personally can't do it. I don't see how y'all do it. The ones that do it, more power to you. But I don't think you can actually get to know somebody, authentically when you're spreading yourself that thin.
I
Yeah, it's
agree.
hard. It's hard.
And as far as I know, Lauren said her acts of service starts with marriage. I can't say that for myself. I can't say it for myself, but what I have come to realize is I don't feel a responsibility to serve people. Like my acts of service is going to come from my heart. You know what I'm saying? And that's just not that's just not like dating someone that's in any type of relationship. That's something that I kind of learned through COVID when I realized like time is precious. And my time is precious, my energy is precious, and where I choose to direct that, I'm gonna be intentional about it. So you know, I grew up in a big family. I love kids. We have a lot of kids in my family. So it's just like, you know, wherever I feel the need to help or I feel like the appreciation is going to be authentic, then that's where I go. I go where I feel like I'm lead to go. I help and I serve where I feel like I'm led to help and serve. And if it doesn't feel appreciated, or if it's gonna feel tainted, or if I'm gonna feel uncomfortable in the situation, then I just don't do it. Like, granted, we're women and we're nurturers, and I know for myself it's a part of my everyday living, you know, to serve, and the quiz I took just confirmed it. But it's the energy for me. It's the energy, it's the appreciation. And you know, I'm gonna do it, and at the end of the day, for me, you know, I don't count it as a loss, because I'm just like, Lord, I did it out of the goodness of my heart. You know, it's not to expect anything in return. You know, it's just to say, okay, I helped somebody out for the day. I put a smile on their face. I lighten their load. I ease their burden. And if I don't feel like that's going to be the outcome, then I'm just not going to do it, period.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. So we got a comment from Mr. Nash, or Nash John. You have to be open to receiving someone into your circle in order to create a foundation. Some women of today allow their careers to to dictate their character and limitations as to what they will put into their connection with a man. If women of today will stop feeling like they know a man's role in a relationship and allow him to do what he knows, then that's where the balance comes in.
So I'm trying to.
So I want to speak on something here. If women of today will stop feeling like they know a man's role in the relationship and allow him to do what he knows, then that's where the balance comes in. Um,
Wait a minute. Okay, my font is very small, and I'm scared to touch anything because I don't want to go back out. I can see it, but it's like extremely small. So go back and read the part where he was talking about the career, like women allowed the careers to
okay,
do.
so
I want to hear.
you have to be open to receiving someone in your circle in order to create a foundation. Some women of today allow their careers, I don't know if it's supposed to go into dictate their character and
It is.
limitations.
Okay,
Yes.
pause. Let's pause right there. So when he was saying you have to be open, you know, and then he comes back into the whole career scenario. I'm gonna speak for myself. I can't speak for all women. I'm gonna speak for myself. I'm an 80s baby. Okay. So I'm gonna speak for myself. But I think guys have to understand. Look, I'm gonna speak for Shmarian. So guys have to understand for Shmarian. And I actually was faced with this question like a week ago. I was like hanging out with my brother and one of my oldest nephews, and they was talking about like how much I work. And so I told my brother, I was like, you know, I work because I feel like I have to work, right? It's not because I want to work. It's because like there's certain things I want in life. There's certain things I want to do. And if I don't work and get it, there's nobody backing me up. Like as a single Black woman, you know, there's nobody backing me up. I can't hold my hand out for my husband or my long-term partner or whoever the case may be. I don't have parents. I don't have grandparents. I don't have a husband. I'm not in a committed relationship. So for me, it's like, if I don't get it, I'm not going to get it. So it's not that we're putting our careers first and we're so driven, you know what I'm saying? Like on our career, like we're doing it because we have to do it. And honestly, like if more men would step up and be more men, I think a lot less women would feel like we have to work and go so hard and go so tough in our careers to, you know, to form a legacy and to get the things we need and to provide. But because there is a void that we're trying to fill and we don't want to go without, then we feel like, okay, well, we got to work to get it. We got to work to get it. And I had a brother tell me before, one of my brothers told me before, he was just like, mama told me a long time ago, no woman wants to spend her whole paycheck on bills. Facts. No woman wants to spend their whole paycheck on bills. But if that's what we have to do to make sure things are taken care of, then if we're the only one in a situation that has to provide, then we're going to do whatever it takes to provide. Like, we're in mama bear mode. So it is what it is. So I don't think we're focused on our careers. So
I think he just said that she's missing the point of my statement. So John Nash, you can like clarify it, but I think what you're saying is the difference between women who have what people like to call masculine energy, where they like to do the roles of men in terms of like, prioritizing things differently, right? And maybe you're speaking in terms of like there's not a lot of feminine women out here anymore, in terms of like, if you think about the traditional woman versus the modern woman, traditional women are typically the ones that are like, okay, caring for someone, this idea of acts of service comes easy for me, right? I'm gonna take care of the house, I'm gonna take care of you. Okay, Nash, that's not it either. Okay, so if you could clarify, you should clarify that. But I mean, I say that because that has been over the past month or two, like this whole battle between like
men, women, energy, masculine,
like
feminine energy.
Yeah, like that's been a thing. So I didn't know if like, because when he said that if women of today will stop feeling like they know a man's role in a relationship, that's what made me think of like, I don't think there are some things that come like that men should do, absolutely, right? Like, men in the Bible, you're like meant to be a provider.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so those are just things that come naturally. Like, that's something that you should do as a man. So it's not that we think we know a man's role. That is the man's role. That should be the man's role.
And depending on where a woman is in her role too, depending on the type of man that comes along, sometimes some women be like, I don't feel you can provide for me in the area where I am right now. So they may not be willing to let go of some of that career because they're used to being here. And I've heard women say this, he wouldn't be able to keep me in the lifestyle that I'm used to. And I've said it myself in one of the past podcasts that, now where I am in my life, if it ain't better, it got to be at least where I am. Yeah. I'm not going back. So some women aren't willing to give up their career and stuff because.
Listen, I was asked a question and it was like, would you, if your husband was like, you don't got to work no more, would you quit your job? I said, in a heartbeat. We just have not
with a 2 weeks notice.
No, exactly. I just won't show up to work the next day, baby. Like, what do you mean? So here's the thing. We need more men like that. People keep saying like women need to do this, do that. Well, create the conditions for me to not be able to work. Create the conditions for me to show up and be dinner's ready for you. But we can't do that, boo, because we get off work at 6. We got to spend an hour in traffic. And then you want us to take care of the kids. So there are a lot of things. And I know it may sound like excuses. I don't have no kids, so I don't really know what that's like.
No,
you're right. I would imagine that's what it's like. You got to make sure they washed, bathe them, feed them, prepare for the next day, and then homework. Then you got your husband. And so I think there are a lot of things that we women do, and the now women, the modern women. But when you look at traditional women from back in the day, most all of their responsibilities relied at home because the man went out and worked. The man provided for the house. But now you got all these posts talking about women need to pay for their half of the day. Women need to pay for their half of the rent, which is asinine. Like, what? We splitting up the mortgage, we splitting rent, and we married? I think I could see the woman like covering a bill or two, but like, I have to pay for the shelter over my head, something that I think men should take on. Like, if I'm married to you and you cannot afford the shelter over my head, what are we doing? Here we go. He's back. Some women allow their paycheck to determine her independence and become combative with the man because they can't afford expensive things in life. Again, as she just did, was say that the man's role was, but question if you know the man's role so well, then what's yours? Which I already stated that a woman should definitely take care of the house. The woman should be the helpmate. So if a man provides me with a vision to support, I will support it. But here we have visionless men without a plan, and you want the woman to do all of these things and you don't have a plan for the future. That's where we have a problem. And it's not, and I've been attacked so many times because I said, there's an income threshold. Like, I'm gonna need my husband to make X amount. That doesn't mean I'm downing any man that makes less than that, but in order for me to continue to live the lifestyle that I live, if not better, I'm gonna need you to be at this particular price point. I'm not finna put that out here because y'all ain't finna drag me in the comments. Y'all can go look elsewhere and watch whatever else. But we have our preferences too, so that we can make sure that we maintain. Because how would you like if I got with a dude that made significantly less than me, and we joined forces or whatever, bills were tight, I can't go to the gym no more. You know what I'm saying? Now because you want me to stay fit, you want me to stay tight. But if I can't afford to have my personal trainer or go to the gym anymore, if I can't afford to upkeep the things that got you to me, right? You were attracted to me because I had my hair done all the time. I look good, but then you can't add to that. Then you're gonna be like, oh, she let herself go. Well, no, not really. Like, yeah, it's a loaded question or a loaded statement.
Yeah.
So I have another comment here that's on Facebook. It's not coming across. I have all checked for the destinations, but it's not bringing across all comments. There is no such thing as a gold digger. Women cost money. Find the one you can afford and stay in your lane.
Stick
I
beside
agree.
you, period.
I
Love
agree.
that.
So I read this post the other day, and it said that it was a guy who posted, and I know he was being like funny, or whatever about it, but it was very true. He was like, between the cost of bras and Sephora, I don't know how women afford to be women. And I'm just like,
Wait. Go back. The cost of what?
bras.
Okay.
Yeah, Tata holders. So he was like, between the cost of bras and Sephora, I don't understand how women afford to be women. And I don't think guys know, like, not unless they really grew up in a household to where they had a lot of sisters, or they were very attentive when they came to their mom. Like, they don't know what it costs to upkeep ourselves as females. Like, it's a lot that goes into that. And like Lauren said, like, if this is how you met me, okay, let's break it down. Like, if you met me, I get my eyebrows waxed. I'm in the beauty shop. I keep my nails done. We do body wax, and there's just like a lot of like basic things that comes with us maintaining ourselves, that they don't know how all those little costs add up on a monthly basis.
And
but
they enjoy it.
That's what you saw, and that's what you like. So don't expect me to stop it because, like, once we get together, like, you feel like you can't afford it. And it's not being a gold digger. It has nothing to do with being a gold digger, because let's understand, like, I was getting this done myself before you came into the picture. So like you said, Sonya, it's maintaining, and so, like, you have to be able to maintain where I am. And let me tell you, I'm nowhere near a gold digger. I will go to Ross, Family Dollar, Walmart, like, whatever I like, I see it, like, that's where I'm going, that's what I'm going to get. But at the end of the day, like, don't expect me to lower whatever I'm doing just because you came into the picture and you feel like you can't afford it.
And that's on period. Hypergamy is real, y'all. So, like, it's not that women discriminate against men who cannot afford us, quote unquote. It's
Right.
Everybody wants the best of the best. And, like, you know what I mean? Everybody wants the best. That's all I'm gonna say. It's just like, even women, when we're dating, we want the best option possible.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all the comments and questions there on Acts of
Well,
Service.
Nash is back. Nash is back.
What this one again?
And
Yes,
this
It's
one,
not
so
about
excited.
finance.
it's about unity under the structure of our Father in heaven has designed. But people of today's structure, their relationship is based on the world and not of what it was structured to be. The economy has changed from how it was before you we were born. Now it takes two people to survive, and being a housewife is how you survive in today's society, unless that one person is
That money
money
structure.
structure. Oh, like money smart, basically. I guess. Sure. I mean, the cost of childcare is expensive, and so again, if the woman can afford to stay at home, I guarantee you she would probably want to stay at home for the first 4 or 5 years until the child can go to school, public school or whatever. Because the amount of childcare is basically the cost of a mortgage each month,
Yep.
if not more.
It is.
Right.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
Before
yeah, and you still have to consider the food, everything for the kid to take
Formula.
to daycare, and you better pray that don't a little dusty kid take the diapers and the pampers and the wipes that I brought for my baby and use them on.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
something Lauren said earlier that I want Nash to know as well. Like Lauren said, we are created to be a helpmate. Like we are the helpmate. So I would think like not only in a relationship, but especially in a marriage, like if you chose to marry this female, like know that this female is here to help you. Me personally, there's no way I can sit back and watch my husband struggle. Like, let's understand, it's already hard for, I'm gonna say my preference, a black man, even though I'm open. I made it very clear I'm open, but however, my preference is to be married to a black man. Like we know the struggle. We know how hard it is out there for you. There's no way I'm gonna watch him walk through that door every day. He's keeping me up late at night having pillow talk about the bills and the stress on him. And I'm seeing the physical tear, the mental tear, like the emotional tear. At the end of the day, if anything was to ever happen to where I had to go get a job at McDonald's to be able to pay the light bill or the water bill or put gas in the car, like that's what I'm gonna do. Like I'm gonna do whatever it takes to help him out. Like there's no amount of pride that's gonna stop me from being his helpmate, regardless of what's going on in the world and the economy. Like whatever it takes to help him out and to release some stress off his shoulders, then that's what I'm gonna do.
So also, hypergamy definitely means dating or marrying up. So I'm not wrong. And yes, sometimes marrying up does have to do with money, but it also has to do with social class, all of that. So when I say the best possible option, like you want to date, you want to be with someone like step above, right? It's the best possible option when you think of like a higher social caste or a group of men. You want the best possible option. So we can debate this all day if you want to, Nash.
Nash woke up and
He came. Nash want the smoke. He came with
girl, he woke up and chose to be argumentative today.
Right? But then he says, food for thought. A man will take a woman with nothing to bring to the table of, I'm not sure what this means, greens of balance, but the woman won't. A woman is not designed to take care of a man. That is a
No,
man's responsibility to be the
no.
provider. If we take, I'm doing this
and wait.
class, and Pastor Miller took it all the way back to BC, and how, well, back then their dating didn't exist. The parents
It was a
sold
rape
you.
marriage.
You had to go
It was
buy the woman that you wanted and be able to afford her if you wanted her.
bring the sheets,
So
the goats, the everything.
Yeah,
exactly,
and also men don't care how much women make.
they
That is
don't. They
so
don't.
so so you're right. Men will take a woman with practically nothing because men don't care. There is not a man out here that's like, unless again a man is looking to be taken care
I
of.
was just gonna say a real
But
man.
That's it
Get that
right
right.
there.
A real man.
now, a real man
real
is
man.
not finna be out here like how much you make, how much you bring to the table. If a man
They don't
asks me,
care.
what am I bringing to a table? You ain't the one for me, because why are you checking for what I can bring to the table versus you seeing if I fit into your vision and your picture and your plan? Like, you know what I mean? Like this.
Yeah. And that's always been a red flag for me too. Like when a guy just like comes out, like when you're dating and he just wants to know, oh, okay, well, like how much you make, what's A, B, C, and D. Those are red flags. Like if you are a provider and you have your stuff together, not saying we don't have our stuff together, but like as a man, you are supposed to be the provider. Like you're looking for the wife. He who finds a wife finds a good thing. So you're, you know, if you've got to the level to where like you're dating and you're dating with intention, and you want to know like what I make shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. Like you already have the foundation laid. You invite me into your castle. So it's always like a red flag for me, you know, for when guys like ask that question or they feel like what you're going to tolerate, what you're not going to tolerate. I've gotten that question before. Like what you tolerate in a relationship, what you don't tolerate in a relationship, and the whole income situation. It's always been a red flag for me.
So as common as can we stay on the topic without going around the actual subject, which is catering? Again, it's about balancing each other. So
That's nasty.
so that both are comfortable. No one said take care of the man, but come with something that makes him feel that you are relationship material. Hmm.
Cool.
And then Cheryl Lewis made a comment. That's fine for when you're in a relationship and things go wrong. However, if you are struggling, the last thing you need to be trying to do is getting a relationship.
And
I
that's the 100% right. And
I
that's why we
agree.
got so many struggle loves out here,
I agree.
because
Yep, with a
they're trying to
situationship.
piece together stuff like maybe I can be whole with this person.
Yeah.
No, you got to be whole before you get to them, you know, which is another reason why people be like, Lauren, why are you still single? Like, if I can be real, like there has many years ago, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for a relationship, but I wasn't. And I was okay with that. And so when you tell people like, yeah, I'm single, and they be like, hey, I'm sure you got dudes all over your inbox, blah, blah, blah. That could be, but that's just not, you know, I'm just pumping my brakes because I understand what it's like when you have like a incomplete person trying to get into a relationship, because it's just the foundation is just rocky off top.
Yeah. Nope.
So yeah. So yeah, we're not trying to go off the subject. We were replying to comments that were made um and questions. So we discussed acts of service as far as what we thought was too early, too soon, would we, and if it's our love language. And as I stated, I know acts of service is a love language I enjoy providing and giving. And now I just kind of like back away. Like I say, I'm waiting for the one. So when he does come along, I don't have a problem, just being of service.
And I honestly don't think most women do. It's really about, for the most part, whoever we're in that relationship with, like recognizing our worth and we feel like we can freely give and be able to provide those acts of service.
So then he throws in another. He says, "Sorry, young ladies, but y'all have a long way to go being from the millennium area, and until you can let go of the mindset that you know a man's role and just play your role, I see the house for quiet on that last statement. Shaking my head. Have a good evening. Give me a public service, Sonya."
Well, you have a good evening too, Nash. But I honestly, other than being the provider and the woman being the helpmate, I don't think I've mentioned anything about specific roles.
Yeah.
So I feel like in every relationship, you have to evaluate whatever relationship you're in, and those roles have to be established. For me, it's a basic role, and it's biblical. Like the men are to be the provider, the men are to be the head of the household, the
Protector.
women are to be the helpmate other than that, you guys have to determine like what roles are going to be exist in a relationship. So I kind of feel like there's a misunderstanding and there's like a loss in translation with Mr. Nash, but I wish him a good night as well.
Yeah.
Because you really like, between your work schedule, between your children, between the blended family, whatever the case may be, there are going to have to be roles that are going to be established. Everybody has their own schedule. Every family structure is different, you know. So you're gonna have to sit down and come up with specific roles. And it is no, okay, well, men just gotta take out the trash. It's only the men that put the gas in the tank. Oh, the women pick the kids up from the daycare, the women cook. Like, it's not that. Like, I want it to be clear, like, it's not that. But the basic roles that we expect at the end of the day, they are, for me, it's biblical, and it's the man is the provider, the woman is the helpmate. That's it. Everything else is a TBA. Lauren looks real animated over there. What's going on, Lauren?
So then he comes back with another comic. If women of today were like the women in the Bible, yeah, he not gone. If women of today were like the women were in the Bible, then there would be a difference. But my women of color try to rewrite and dictate their own status.
Well, if men of today were like men back in biblical times, then the women of today would not be the women of today. Like,
so let me
be clear. Like,
let me just say this too. The system took all of our men from us. So let's start there. There is the men that they ripped the man from our families, put them in jail over petty crimes, the drugs, the 3 strikes rule. Let's talk about all of those things that really jacked up the family structure. And as a result, women did have to step up and play the role of daddy, husband, you know, all of that to their kids. And so we are making up for lost times to where we have more Black women single than any other race of women, right? Yeah. And so you have to understand that this is not the life that we chose per se. We did not want, and now I'll tell you this, I'm the youngest of the 3 here. When I grew up, and I'm pretty sure it was the same when they were growing up, it was pressed to me like, be a wife, right? We were grown, like the movies even show it in Disney movies. I don't know any little girl that doesn't want to grow up and be a mom and be a wife and have a family. That narrative gets shifted when they come of age and they realize that the reality is there is not enough men, Black men, especially if you just want to date in your race, there's not enough Black men for us to even, fulfill that vision with. If it's like, dang, I really want to be married. That's not the case. So I just want to say, like, we did not grow up saying, I want to be CEO of a company. There may be some, if they grew up in a family full of entrepreneurs and they saw their mom and people doing the dang old thing. But I didn't grow up saying I want to run an organization and I want to pay my own bills and I want to buy a 5-bedroom house on my own. And no, not at all. I grew up wanting to have a husband and I grew up wanting to have children. But however, the men have to show up, the few men that we have left. Yeah. And unfortunately, our society, our generation today has been corrupted by this idea that, it's way more women than there are men. So men, I can have more than one woman. What woman wants to be subject to being the second wife, the third wife, the sister wife for that matter? No.
Peace.
So I'm just saying, like, that we don't want to have this quote unquote masculine energy. We don't want to have to provide for our house. We don't want to have to prioritize our job. We don't want to. We would love to say, I had a nice little run working as a nurse. I had a nice little run working as a teacher, but now I'm going to devote my life to my kids, my family. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I don't want Nash, like I say, don't confuse also like masculine energy with a woman, being subject to having to be a provider of the household. Like, it's different. It's different. It wasn't a choice. It was just something like we was left up to. And you know, a lot of guys I feel like get that confused. Like they're like, oh, well, you do A, B, C, and D. Like, what do you need a man for? Like, I do it because I have to, not because I want to. Like, let's be clear on that part.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're an hour into this. I would love to go a little longer, but some of us have some things we have to do this evening. We can pick up in our next podcast.
Or if
We
y'all want to stay on and I jump, like y'all can still debate.
You want to stay on,
Lauren is on
Shamarian?
fire tonight. Nash got her
Nah,
fire going.
nah, not me. I do got to jump, but I was saying like y'all two could like stay on if y'all wanted to. We don't have to end it, but because I think it is a really good conversation that I think a lot of men think that women like this is what we want, but it ain't.
It's not.
So I really think it's a great conversation.
Like, if you take anything from this podcast tonight, Nash, just know it's not what we want. It's just the responsibility that we feel like we have to feel.
Yeah.
If you have to go, Lauren, you can go, dear.
All right, y'all. Y'all, Nash. Next time we go live, I want you in the comments. I want to hear what you guys to say some more. Shout out to everybody that's watching. Foxy number 234 is on. Bye.
See you, Lauren. See you,
Bye.
Lauren. Me and
Bye.
Shamarian to close it out tonight. So since she dropping, we still here. He has another comment here. But ladies, let's not get this confused. I'm not here to try to create a debate.
I
But
mean,
if
it's
you
a debate.
notice,
Okay, it's a healthy debate.
but if you notice, you don't have any men on your panel. All you have are females voicing their own opinions, which is again not a balance. So this podcast all started from me telling my story. And that's basically what it was, to encourage people or to encourage someone that had maybe been through a divorce and was having a tough time. So I just told my story to help others. And in telling my story, it helped me. So one night the ladies were here at the house. We were talking, we were having good conversation, and I said I was going to bring them into my podcast because I know this is not only about me. Now, as far as having men on the panel, we've talked about having men on the panel. We just haven't gotten there yet. So, although there's no men on the panel, there are men that are in this podcast with us that, like you see, we are displaying your comments, your questions. We're here to talk. Is It's not that we are leaving men out. This is just where we are right now. So, going forward in the future, I don't know if you've seen any of my other podcasts, but I mentioned bringing in men. So we're just trying to get our flow in jail and see how this is going to go. So it's not that we're leaving out men and don't want their opinion.
No, we actually welcome their opinion, and like we want to hear things from their perspective, like especially as single man and dating in 2021. Like, we also want to hear like the things that you guys are going through. I had a healthy conversation with an old friend, you know, last week as well, and I asked him that one question that I hate people ask me, that I dread, but I was like, I know he's a good dude. I know his background. I know his belief system. I know his goals. So I I hate to ask you this, but I really, really want to ask you this. You know, Christian man, single father. Why are you single? And I did not want to ask him that question because I hate when people ask me that question. And he gave me like some real life situations, and you know, I kind of understood things from his perspective as well. So like, we're here to welcome it. Like, we're here, you know, we're here to hear, you know, you guys experience and what happens on your end too. So don't think we're ignoring you. But we also want to get some good quality men. Like, if we're going to come in and have a whole healthy debate and conversation, like, we want to get some good quality men on here to see how things are on their end and what they're experiencing, just like us, because dating is hard in 2021.
Very. And the pandemic has added to the difficulty.
Times 3.
But So yeah, let me see if there are any other comments. Ooh, got quite a few. Cheryl Lewis said a woman can only play her role when a man plays his role. I
Mhm.
can provide you acts of service all day, all night, but I'm not paying the bills. And different people have different outlooks based on the way they were raised. I've heard people say, or even men in different families, different groups I move about in, that marry someone who was raised similarly to you, because your outlooks on life and your views are going to be different. When I think back to years ago when marriages were arranged, that's probably a reason they were arranged too, because those families were part of the same social network, economic network. So
Religion.
the way they were raised in their thought process,
Yeah.
when those two joined together, it was easier.
Yeah.
You know, relationships and marriage is work. So when you have someone that maybe grew up with, like for instance, my parents just celebrated 61 years of marriage yesterday. Praise God. Hallelujah. Thank
Hallelujah.
you. Thank you, Foxies, for all of y'all that did a shout out to them and wish them a happy anniversary. Thank you. And they thank you as well. My dad made a comment on that. But for, let me just give an example with me. And I'm going to use a true live example. And this young lady right here is my witness.
Okay.
So, 17 years a wife. I came from a background in a family where my parents were married, they were together. I saw them working together. I know what that's like. I know my dad worked two jobs, my mama worked two jobs. Sometimes my dad was going from one job, meeting my mama in the street with us so we could go back home with her. So for me to marry, I married a man, his 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 parents were married, they didn't stay together, but the whole dynamic of their family is what, Shamarian?
It's different.
Income. It's totally different. So you want to expound on that?
um I would say, okay, so I know I was like roughly around 10 years old when you came into the family. So I mean it was different. And even from my brother who she's mentioning is like 10 years older than I am. So even his upbringing is different from my upbringing. But I would have to personally say, like, even when I came into the picture, like I was basically raised by a single mom. And as I got older, and as I went off to school and you start meeting, your classmates and stuff who are in college and come from different backgrounds, and then you get into, the work field, especially like healthcare, and you just see like different dynamics of different families, right? So it does make a difference. I would have to say, I know there was certain struggles and I ain't gonna lie, like my mom, she was a single mom, but she was strong. And she was so strong. Me and my younger brother was talking about this last week. Like, she was so strong, we didn't even know we had a lot of the struggles we had until we got older. But you start to recognize, like, as you get older and you mature and you go out into the world, and then you get friends who came from a two family, a two parent, family home. And so you understand and recognize the difference, and the struggle is different, and it's just not financial. It's like certain things you see, the interaction in the household between, a husband and a wife, and the helping, and it's a lot of different things that go into that, Sonya. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah.
But it is a difference, and like the family dynamics is different, and it's not always a bad thing. It's just different. And you have to feed and learn off, you know what I'm saying, like each other. And that's where I also feel like even though you may not necessarily come from the same family background or the same family dynamics, like you really have to make sure you're equally yoked with a person to be like, okay, because like for me, like I didn't get that two parent household. I came from a single parent. My ex came from his parents had been married for a while, but you have to be able to get together and say, hey, this is what we want for our house. This is what we want to do. Like, this is how we want to raise our kids. Like, okay, I didn't like this. I wish better for my children. So you just really just have to make sure like you guys are on the same level and you want the same things out of life, because if not, it can be a disaster. So you just really have to make sure like the goals are same, the goals are the same. And then like what what you want and whatever you want your legacy to be established is the same. And that's where that equally yoked term comes in. Because it is different. And I know for me personally, like if you don't make God the center of your relationship or your marriage, it's gonna be hurtful. What you reading?
Okay. No, I took one of the comments from the other screen and added it to this screen.
Yeah, that's
because this is actually a family member that wrote this, and and it would make it hard, I guess, for the women in my family. In my family, the men care for the women, even though the women may work. My father and all my uncles took care of their families. Yes, the wife brought value, but it was never dependent on them to survive. So, thanks, Cheryl. In her saying this, when it comes to us, like our unit to finding a man, it just makes it hard because our like she says, our fathers and our uncles, the way they took care of our families, what you see today, you don't see a lot. A lot of, and you had mentioned discussing how you want your relationship to look, how you want to raise your kids, how you want your household to look.
Yeah.
So that is important, as well as counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And some people don't take the time to do counseling to figure out, okay, how were you raised? What did you see in your household?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't do that in my household. Oh, because once you get in under the roof with somebody else and you start hearing and seeing these things, you'd be like, well, that's weird. That's crazy. I ain't doing that.
Deal with that growing up. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's important that you discuss those things with your mate if you're thinking about marrying them. Yeah. Number one, I say pray, ask God to lead you, have discernment regarding that person. Because, I mean, I've gone out on with some people that are great people.
Yeah.
But compatible wise, it really was no purpose for us. It wasn't a God purpose relationship. Now, looking at my life, restructuring my life in these past 2 years or year and a half during this pandemic, there's some things that I did prior that weren't good. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. And that's where I think it's very beneficial for premarital counseling to come in prior to marriage, because these are the things that would be revealed. I will hope these are some of the questions that will be answered. And so, whoever your potential spouse is, you guys are on the same path and the same wavelength. And, it's going to be nothing but success moving forward. Like you know what you want, what you're trying to achieve, the legacy you're trying to establish. So, it goes up from there, but that conversation most definitely has to be had.
Yeah. Yeah. And then one last comment. He said, let's get some older, mature men on here for greater knowledge, and you will hear a difference in structure. We have quite a few mature men on here.
We welcome them. Tell them to come on
in the room. Come on
in
in
the room. Mm.
So
I'm
yeah,
awesome.
tonight, Mr. Nash, we're just kind of light on audience. I told the Foxies a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, we're going into football season. Men are not gonna want to give up pigskin. So as we see, our audience is a little lower tonight, but it's all good. They come back and they watch and they make comments, or I may get some DMs and I send them to the Foxies to let them know
DMs be funny.
what the men are saying. So it's been good. We thank you all for tuning in tonight.
We really
We
do.
kind of got off subject with Mr. Nash's comments and stuff of acts of service, but
We were just trying to give him a thorough understanding,
yeah,
But
yeah. Sometimes, we have a subject and people's comments or questions lead us down a whole nother road. Sometimes we start out one way and we end another. But we hope you Foxies have enjoyed the show for tonight. We'll be back. We try to do every other week, but we got different professions here. We got two mothers on our panel, and this is something we do for fun that we enjoy, not getting paid for it. So if we're tired, sometimes we will reschedule so we can come to you all full of energy and so we can enjoy the conversation. He wants to come in on camera to bring some balance. We'll work on joining men soon, just not sure when. But
we'll pray
we
on it. We'll pray on it.
yes.
And that's the
We
thing. Like we have discussed bringing men. Like we do welcome your opinion and your perspective on things, especially if you're like actively single and dated in 2021. But we most definitely like want some sound advice, sound wisdom.
yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's not going to be one sided. So we're keeping an open mind and we are welcoming you guys in. But we have to all be in agreement on it as well.
Yes. So
So
yes.
we see you, Mr. Nash.
So Foxies, thank y'all for joining in with us tonight. We appreciate you all taking time for your comments, any questions you have had. But we'll be back. We'll let you know. I will post the next date of when we'll be coming live so we can talk to you all regarding love languages. Not sure which one we'll go to next. We've had gifts. This has been acts of service. There's still words of affirmation, physical touch. What
Quality
am I missing?
time.
Quality time. So yes, we'll be back in a few weeks. So thank y'all for joining us. It's SilverFox Sonya signing out, and we got
Sham.
y'all have a blessed night.
Bye.
Peace.
Y'all take care. Bye.
Smooches. Love y'all. Good
Love
night.
you.